Over the past 500 years, science has developed meticulous methods for understanding the world around us. Today, when we discover a new species, we can perform a detailed analysis of every aspect of it, down to its genetic makeup. But what do we do with evidence of animals encountered long ago that don't align with what we know today? All over the world, animals have been depicted in art by people dating back hundreds or even thousands of years. While most of this art shows species that we can easily identify, occasionally we come across animals in ancient art that defy explanation. In this video, we'll explore 5 mysteries of animals in art that experts are still trying to solve. In the heart of the Cambodian jungle lies the ancient temple of Ta Prohm, a relic of the Khmer Empire. Constructed in the 12th century, the temple was abandoned after the fall of the empire in the 15th century. For hundreds of years it sat abandoned, consumed by the roots of massive trees. And even when the Cambodian government began to restore the temples in the 20th century, it was decided to leave Ta Prohm in its current state, as a concession to the general taste for the picturesque. The beauty of this temple attracts millions of visitors each year, and even more so after it was used as a filming location for the 2001 movie Lara Croft Tomb Raider. But this temple holds an intriguing biological secret. In the 1990s, during an exploration and restoration project, a guidebook titled Ancient Angkor by Michael Freeman and Claude Schack pointed out a peculiar carving on one of the temple's walls. This carving bore an uncanny resemblance to a stegosaurus, a dinosaur thought to have gone extinct millions of years before the temple was built. The discovery sparked a flurry of theories and debates among historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts. Some suggest that the carving is evidence that dinosaurs coexisted with humans much later than previously thought. They propose that a surviving population of stegosaurs might have been known to the ancient Khmer. This theory has proven to be particularly popular among Christian young Earth creationists, as it fits in with their worldview of a 6,000-year-old Earth. Another theory proposes that ancient Cambodians discovered dinosaur fossils and carved the stegosaurs based on these remains. This would mean that the Khmer people had a significant understanding of paleontology long before it was formally studied. Some researchers argue that the carving might be an artistic interpretation of a known animal, with many putting forward rhinos, chameleons, and wild boar as possible explanations. In this case, the supposed backplates would actually be part of a decorative pattern depicting foliage in the background. And skeptics suggest that the carving could actually be a modern addition, created to attract tourists and intrigue. They point to the relatively fresh appearance of the carving compared to other ancient reliefs found around it. Of course, some of these theories are more plausible than others. The idea that Cambodians interacted with living stegosaurs or their fossils is almost out of the question. There is no evidence of stegosaurs ever having existed in Cambodia, either alongside humans or even millions of years ago. Also, if this were a stegosaur, the proportions and features are wrong. For one, stegosaurs had small heads, proportionately much smaller than their bodies, while the animal in the relief clearly has a proportionately large head. Also, it lacks the spikes that stegosaurs had at the ends of their tails. Upon closer examination, scientists and historians have offered a more grounded explanation. They note that the plates on the creature's back are quite similar to stylized representations of lotus leaves or other decorative elements commonly found in Khmer art. But if it is a known animal, what animal is it? The idea that it may be a chameleon is out of the question. While it does look a lot like one with its long tail, arched back, and large head, chameleons are not found in Cambodia. Rhinos and wild boars are, and they both have proportionately larger heads, but neither has a tail like the animal in the relief. In my opinion, this is most likely an artistic representation of a native animal, most likely a rhino, but the mystery has remained unsolved. The carving at Ta Prohm Temple continues to captivate imaginations and fuel debates. It's evidence of the ingenuity and creativity of the ancient Khmer artists, who seamlessly blended their observations of the natural world with their artistic vision. So what do you think? Is this a dinosaur, a modern animal, or is this whole thing just a hoax? In the world of art, few pieces are as perplexing as this painting by Peter Bruce Gale. It's dated 1562, but it didn't come into the public eye until the latter part of the 20th century. Similar to the famous dinosaur relief in Cambodia, this supposed Renaissance-era artwork depicts what appear to be dinosaurs, specifically sauropods, roaming a landscape. This imagery has baffled historians and art enthusiasts alike, as it predates the formal discovery and study of dinosaur fossils by nearly 300 years. The discovery of this painting has led to various theories and speculations, several of which are very similar to the dinosaur relief in Cambodia. Some theorists suggest that the painting is evidence of ancient knowledge of dinosaurs that we assume to have gone extinct millions of years ago. They propose that early humans might have encountered dinosaur fossils and passed down their interpretations through generations, eventually inspiring artists like Peter Bruce Gale. Others suggest that the painting is actually evidence that humans lived alongside these giant dinosaurs, as there is no other way that a Renaissance painter could have known about the existence of sauropods unless they had personally seen them. Another theory posits that the resemblance to dinosaurs is purely coincidental. The creatures in the painting might be imaginative representations of large, unknown animals or mythical beasts, with their dinosaur-like appendages being a result of artistic creativity rather than historical accuracy. Oral traditions and legends of large reptilian creatures, such as dragons, were prevalent in Europe at the time. These stories might have inspired the artist to create fantastical representations of these mythical beings. On the extreme side of the theories about the painting comes the concept of time travel. Some suggest that the artist might have somehow witnessed dinosaurs firsthand, not because dinosaurs were still roaming the earth in the 16th century, but because he somehow managed to travel back in time by millions of years. And of course, there is the possibility that the creatures in the painting might just be based on real animals that the artist himself had observed or that he had heard about, such as elephants or camels. The long necks, trunks, and large bodies of these animals could have been interpreted or stylized in a way that resembles sauropods. And the fact that the animals in the painting don't seem to have the long, thick tails of sauropods gives credence to the theory that they're actually more likely modern mammals. But beyond these theories, the painting has an even bigger problem. Skeptics argue that it could be a modern forgery, created to intrigue and deceive. They point to the relatively fresh appearance of the paint, which is hardly faded or aged, the style, which doesn't fully align with Renaissance paintings, and the lack of historical documentation of the painting or the artist as potential evidence of it being a hoax. In my opinion, the most plausible explanation is that the painting is the product of an artistic imagination of a modern animal, specifically camels. During the Renaissance, artists often drew inspiration from various sources, including mythology, travel accounts, and their own creativity. The creatures in Peter Bruce Gale's painting seem more like stylized camels, which people were known to ride into battle, than dinosaurs. But what do you think? In the Koeberg Mountains of South Africa is found a fascinating piece of rock art that has left historians, archaeologists, and paleontologists puzzled. The panel was painted on a sandstone cliff sometime between 1821 and 1835 by the San people, and it depicts a variety of scenes including warriors and the animals that they encountered. But among the animals depicted is a strange creature that looks nothing like any modern animal from South Africa. It has a long curved body, appears to walk on four legs, is covered in polka dots, and sports an impressive pair of tusks. Tusks are not unusual in sand art, being featured on animals such as snakes, lions, antelope, or even people. But the tusks, which generally represent either horns or sharp teeth, always point up. On this strange animal, they point down, making it appear a lot like a walrus. Of course, this can't be the case, as the Sand People would never have encountered a walrus in South Africa. So what could this mysterious animal, nicknamed the Horned Serpent, actually be? The creature is most likely a representation of a mythical being from Sand folklore. The Sand People are known for their rich oral traditions and mythology, which often include fantastical creatures. In fact, some paleontologists believe that the Horned Serpent must be just that. In a paper written by paleontologist Julien Benoit for journal PLOS 1, he states that the question of the identity of this animal has been dismissed because it is seemingly a rain animal from the sand spirit realm, which is spiritual by essence and does not have to be realistic. But he goes on to say that this does not address the question of what inspired this figure in the first place. Even the most fantastic elements of sand art, such as rain animals, are based on actual animals and phenomena. So while the horned serpent might be a symbolic or mythical figure, it must be based on something real. But what could that be? Benoit has suggested that the mysterious creature depicted in the panel might be a dicynodont, a prehistoric animal that lived around 200 million years ago. Dicynodonts were herbivorous therapsids with a mixture of reptilian and mammalian features, including tusks and a turtle-like beak. Benoit argues that the Sand People might have been inspired by dicynodont fossils, which are abundant in the Karoo Basin where the panel is located. Of course, just like other mysterious animals we've seen in this video so far, some fringe theories and enthusiasts have suggested that the depiction of the horned serpent might indicate that dinosaurs, or dinosaur-like creatures, survived longer than previously thought. But these theories are not accepted within the scientific community and are considered speculative at best. The most plausible explanation is that the horned serpent panel is a product of artistic imagination and cultural influences inspired by fossil remains, with its overall form being a blend of real and mythical elements. Whether the creature depicted is a dicynodont, a mythical being, or simply a product of artistic imagination, the panel demonstrates the creativity and cultural richness of the Sand People. It reminds us that long before Western science gained prominence, indigenous communities possessed a profound understanding of their surroundings, including aspects of the distant biological past, often surpassing the recognition that we give them today. Egypt is renowned for its intricate wall art and depictions that provide a vivid glimpse into its ancient civilization. But a discovery in an ancient tomb would leave archaeologists with a biological mystery that has yet to be solved. When Nefermat, a prince in Egypt's 4th dynasty, died, a tomb was prepared for him in Meidum. It was huge, and artisans used unique artistic techniques in its decoration. The chapels were adorned with some of the earliest outdoor scene types, depicting family members and other individuals participating in various rituals and activities. Later, when his wife Itet died, she was buried there too, and the tomb was sealed and forgotten about for 4,600 years. It wasn't until 1871 that the tomb was rediscovered and the amazing artwork on its walls saw the light of day again. One piece of art, found on the north wall of Itet's chapel, has come to stand out among all of the art found in the tomb. In the middle of a scene of people working and hunting stands a group of 6 geese painted with meticulous detail. These geese, known as the Meidum Geese, are so beautiful and detailed that they've gained the nickname of Egypt's Mona Lisa. And just like the Mona Lisa has the mystery of her smile, these geese have the mystery of their identity. Initially, they were believed to be 3 known species. These 2 are thought to be greater white-fronted geese. Note the white band near the base of the bill. The species is known to occur in the Sinai Peninsula and parts of the Nile, and according to archaeological evidence, it was a species that ancient Egyptians hunted and consumed. These 2, which lack the white band at the base of the bill, are believed to be gray lake geese, another species which is found all along the Nile and parts of the Sinai Peninsula. Remains of this species have also been found by archaeologists throughout Egypt. And in the center of the painting stand the most beautiful geese in the mural. Their bold markings initially led archaeologists to identify them as red-breasted geese, a species which does in fact look similar. But there were 2 problems. First off, the markings don't fully line up. This is particularly true of the placement of the red, black, and white markings on the breast, neck, and face. Modern red-breasted geese have a clear black band through the eye, while the ones painted on the chapel wall have a white circle around their eyes. Red-breasted geese have breasts and necks that are almost fully red, while the Meidum geese have a significant amount of white on them. Also, there seems to possibly be some sort of sexual dimorphism between these 2 geese, suggesting that the male and female perhaps had different colorations. But red-breasted geese do not have sexual dimorphism, with both males and females looking essentially the same. The other problem with trying to identify these as red-breasted geese is that the species doesn't occur anywhere in Egypt, and there is no archaeological evidence that they ever have. While there have been a few modern sightings as far south as northern Jordan, the species prefers to spend its time between the high Arctic of Russia and the temperate waterways of Europe. So what species of goose is this? There are several theories. One is that the geese were painted off of some red-breasted geese that were brought to Egypt from abroad, perhaps as a gift to the pharaoh. When the geese were painted, maybe the living animals they're based off of had already died, and the artist was forced to paint them just by looking at their dried skins or working on memory alone, explaining the inaccuracies. Another possibility is that some red-breasted geese had arrived in Egypt as vagrants, perhaps blown across the Mediterranean by a large storm. But most recently, a new theory has been brought forward that the majority of archaeologists and biologists agree with. The most likely explanation is that the geese depicted on the wall represent a species that has since gone extinct. It may have already been rare even in the time of the pharaohs, which could explain why no physical evidence of an extinct species has shown up in Egypt in the form of fossils or bones. But there is some evidence from nearby that lends support to this theory. In 2021, Dr. Anthony Romilio reported that a recent discovery of the bones of an unknown species of goose from the island of Crete could actually represent the same species as the one depicted in Meidum. For now, we only have speculation to go on, and the identity of these geese from the 4,600-year-old Egyptian tomb remains a mystery. John James Audubon was a renowned naturalist and painter who dedicated his life to documenting and illustrating the avian species of North America. Born in Haiti and raised in France, Audubon embarked on an ambitious journey to capture the diversity and beauty of birds through his intricate and lifelike illustrations. His magnum opus, The Birds of America, published between 1827 and 1838, is widely regarded as one of the finest ornithological works ever produced. The collection consists of 435 hand-colored prints showcasing over 700 bird species, many of which were documented for the first time by Audubon himself. Among the vast array of birds depicted in The Birds of America, 6 species remain shrouded in mystery. Perhaps my favorite of these birds is Washington's sea eagle, I covered the mystery of this species in a 35-minute video last year. Among the other 5 disputed birds, one other has been particularly puzzling for ornithologists over the years: the carbonated warbler. Despite being illustrated with Audubon's characteristic precision, no definitive evidence of its existence has been found since its initial depiction. The carbonated warbler is illustrated with striking black, brown, white, and yellow plumage, and unique markings on the head and wings, which set it apart from other warbler species. What makes this bird so mysterious is the fact that Audubon didn't just collect one specimen, but 2. In The Birds of America, he writes, "I shot the 2 little birds here represented near the village of Henderson in the state of Kentucky in May 1811. They were both busily engaged in searching for insects along the branches and amongst the leaves of a dogwood tree. Their motions were those common to all the species of the genus. On examination, they were found to be both males. I am of the opinion that they were each young birds of the preceding year, and not in full plumage, as they had no part of their dress seemingly complete, excepting the head. Not having met with any other individuals of the species, I am at this moment unable to say anything more about them. They were drawn, like almost all the other birds which I have represented, immediately after being killed, but the branch on which you see them was not added until the following summer." Audubon is renowned for how detailed and precise his paintings and descriptions of the birds he encountered are. He was masterful at identifying new species, being responsible for describing no less than 25. Given that he was so familiar and accurate regarding American birds, the carbonated warblers have left experts stumped. He himself only saw them once, and the way he describes them in the book seems to imply that he too was confused about their identity. One theory to explain them is the possibility that they were another similar species in their juvenile or molting phase, perhaps a species that he had rarely encountered and therefore wasn't familiar with. The juvenile form of palm warblers or yellow-rumped warblers have both been put forward as possible candidates, though they don't fully match up. It's also possible that the 2 birds were hybrids, that perhaps hatched in the same brood, thus sharing the same physical characteristics. And still some others believe that the carbonated warbler could have been a rare species that has since gone extinct. Given the rapid changes of American habitats at the time and the impact of population growth, it's possible that this bird was wiped out before it could be studied further. The other 4 disputed birds described by Audubon include Townsend's finch, Cuvier's kinglet, the small-headed flycatcher, and the blue mountain warbler. Each of these birds doesn't match any known species that is alive today, and whether they've gone extinct, were rare color morphs, or even simple errors in identification, we may never know. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed learning about these mysterious animals. I need to say a special thanks to my patrons. Without their ongoing support, I wouldn't be able to make a video like this every week. If you want to support the channel and get 24-hour early access to each of my videos, join us on Patreon. The link is in the video description below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.